So this is part two of our three-part webinar, being more proactive with our data, going beyond just our monthly reporting, going beyond just tracking metrics, but how to be proactive, productive with our workforce, with our data, and support our overall organization. Today's session is about exceptional management by managing by exception. Basically, we're having a lot of different conversations with different clients. And as soon as we try and get into the real meat of things, sometimes they just struggle to get over the line in terms of managing things like data democratization, how to open up data access to clients, and all these different modern concepts that our new data platforms enable us to do. So basically, the agenda for today is I'll be going through some examples, some conversations that we've been having throughout this year, some key topics that has found, then going into a practical example of what this topic looks like, and how does this management by exception or exception management principle apply, and then get into the meat of things inside our data platform called Domo. Please feel free to drop a question in the chat as I go along. I have Rain, our marketing manager, assisting, who will answer any questions you may have. So a little bit of you that may not know who we are. Technologies basically helps organizations throughout Africa find the best leading global technology. There's 15,000 MarTech and data solutions around the world, and our job is to rigorously vet some of the leading solutions and make them accessible to the local market with things like local enablement, expertise, consulting, as well as billing and legislation like BEE and stuff like that. A little bit about me. My name is Alex. I'm your host for today. I am the product lead for Domo, an end-to-end data platform at Technologies, as well as Chorus, which is enterprise digital engagement. I've been in the tech space for about 8 years now, starting off in fintech and then pivoting into CX and data 4 years ago. Okay. So as we progress through this year, there's definitely been recurring topics that we found in terms of how companies want to use their data, or the ideas that they have, looking from concept to minimal viable products to actually making them live. Or some of these other ones I just want to talk through quickly, like centralized data for end-to-end customer journey mapping. What we're really seeing here is organizations need to connect all their different data sources, struggling a little bit. How can they do it? How do they do it best? And get that full end-to-end journey from customer awareness all the way through to conversion, service, sales, renewal, and churn, and getting that holistic picture in one place, so the central source of truth for their organization, using all of their data. Then monetizing data so that data solutions can pay for themselves. So that's B2B use cases. So finding out what data we have on hand, how can we further leverage our product offering to our customer base, using that data, and again, those MVPs to an actual product. And then I'm running through 3 of these. And then the 4th point there, opening up data to the organization for data-led culture. Now, this is probably the most popular theme that we're seeing is data democratization. And what the majority, the meat of the conversation has been is how do we make it a reality? More than just joining a webinar, getting a cool idea, but then getting stuck at some point when they try to open up data access to the entire organization, trying to open it, analytics, make us smarter, make us a culture-led company by using our data, data first kind of thinking. And that's kind of the principle I'll be going through today, is that exception management. Now, where exception management comes in now. Now, if we just think about something like a sheep farm. I don't know if any of you have seen Clarkson's farm as an example, but sheep are problematic. They aren't that easy to manage. And they're always running around. The rams may headbutt a tree and hurt themselves. They're just an unpredictable natured animal. But also important for us to make sure we're farming them, making sure that they're in their enclosures, making sure we know what's happening with our sheep at all times. And as we know, like the farming industry is very, very manual, right? So there is a reality where more and more companies, even farms, are moving towards automation, trying to use data to better manage their harvest, better manage their livestock, and better manage their rebellious sheep. So what exception management really entails now is there's a few steps to get this right. Right, okay. So it's not just looking at our daily reports, it's not just looking at our data on slight fluctuations, it's looking at the exceptions. So when something reaches a threshold, when are we notified? How do we proactively intervene in these scenarios? And that's what exception management is. It's a modern principle helping organizations basically guide them through best practices to get this right. And I think if we think about this farming scenario of the sheep, the first step of exception management is knowing our sheep, understanding them, knowing how many sheep we have in a pen. You know, are there any goats in? Well, the goats need to get out. We need to make sure that we're not counting the sheep dogs, and that we only know that we have 30 sheep in this one enclosure. So the next part is our thresholds. So when we have these adverse fluctuations in our data, how are we notified of them? How do we identify them? And I think as a working scenario of our rebellious sheep over here is the pen and enclosure. So we don't want to know when they're grazing. Sheep graze, maybe we want to know when their food is running out. That's good to know. But you know, for the most part, sheep just mind their own business, they'll graze. We know a problem with sheep is they love jumping out the pens. So what we can do is look at the pens, and we only want to know when a sheep jumps over, because that's when we need to proactively chase the sheep, fetch it, put it back in the pen, and make sure that it's back from 29 to 30 sheep that we have in our enclosure, because we understand how many we have, and we understand the problems that sheep may cause on the farm. So there's still that element of human intervention, but helping us be smarter, helping us be more proactive in these scenarios here. So managing by exception lets you focus on the major things that impact your business without getting distracted or caught up with the small day-to-day fluctuations. So there's 7 steps to getting this right. So we're not stuck at any hurdles. You know, let's follow best practice principles that are available to us, and we can apply them to our different business units. I'll only be going through the first 4 here, not the full 7 steps. So starting from data collection, gathering data, you know, we have so many different data sources nowadays. We need to collect them, centralize it all into one place, make sure that it's meaningful to our different business units. The second part is making sure that it's clean. You know, checking that data against the source data, verifying and certifying data sets to make sure that the business can trust what is being visualized upon, and that when there are exceptions in our data, that we can, with faith, jump in and proactively engage in these scenarios. Then target identification, like the sheep pen, we only want to know when the sheep are jumping over when we want to do this exception management. So let's set up our triggers, set up our thresholds, and intervene when we need to. Let's not get caught up and distracted by our data all the time. Let's not get worried about the small variances that may occur. Let's worry about the key thresholds that we set. Then exception alerts, utilize technical models to alert of fluctuations. This is now speaking to a little bit about last week's webinar around workflows. So how can we identify the thresholds, and then how do we actually act on them? Is it a manual process? Is it a human that needs to intervene? Is there maybe some machine learning that can identify additional things? So that's what I'll be looking through in our data platform, Domo, as per last week. All right. So let me jump right into the platform then. Again, please feel free to ask questions as we get going. This is Domo, the end-to-end data platform. What I'm going to show you, so step 1, connecting our data, pulling all those data sources into one place and making sure that it is meaningful data that we are reporting on. We understand the data, we understand our business units and the business. We need to know exactly what we're pulling through into our system to get exception management right. So if we look at our data, we have our centralized data warehouse. We can see all the different data sources, some live streaming, some that hasn't connected. Let's just say we want to now connect additional data, let's say for marketing. Modern data platforms have pre-built connectors. You shouldn't have to worry about custom developments, especially around popular systems or platforms like your Facebooks, your Metas, your AWSs, Snowflakes, SQL, there's even Oracle. So nice thing about Domo, over 1,000 pre-built connectors, rapid time to value, don't have to worry about the development fees in trying to connect your data to your data warehouse or your reporting tool. So, let's say we want to connect Facebook. Great, let's pull in our Facebook, different types of connectors depending on what we're using it for. Great, we've connected our Facebook now. We need it. We know some stuff is in our AWS data center, or if that's not it, let's look at Amazon. And then we have different buckets like S3 and Athena and Redshift and all these modern storage facilities we're all using nowadays. And big one for marketing is Google BigQuery. So let's pull in all of that information, or Adobe Analytics. Right, so we go in quickly, connect the data, go through the authentication process, and you can now live stream in your data. That's quite nice. Uses Google. Okay. So step one, connect your data, know what we're pulling in to our data warehouse here. The second step to getting this right is making sure our data is clean, making sure that the business can report from a data set that they know is trustworthy. It's simple enough for anyone to kind of report from it. If you're looking for data democratization, someone in sales like me needs to be able to quickly build a graph or something like that and set up my own alerts and thresholds that are unique to me. So I guess the second part is transforming our data and getting it to a point where it is clean. So I'm not going to build one. Let's look at an existing ETL over here. Right. Going back to this one, there was quite a nice one for to continue the marketing example. One second. Okay, let's just look at this one. That's one. Great. So now we've connected all of our data. We put it through our ETL process. It's gotten to the point where we can report from it. So we have our playbook, our Adobe Analytics, our Facebook ads, our Google ads, all the marketing data that we now connected. We put it through our ETL. So we cleaned it up. We appended some rows. We took out some rows that maybe aren't valuable to us. And we have now created one output table, one source, one data set to rule them all. So that the organization can report directly from this. This is a key step. Most people just want to go straight to exception management, but what we put in is what we get out, right? Cleaning data as per any data project is extremely important. So let's just map this out, get it right, know what we're collecting, know what is valuable to us from the different data sources, and make sure that we have an output data source that is clean and viable to the business. All right. So now that we have our data sets, we've opened up to our specific business units. We now want to look at, identifying these key thresholds throughout our business. What does it mean to us? What do we actually need to intervene on or act on when there's any adverse data fluctuations in our system? So if we look at marketing ROI, I guess, last example, just continuing on with it. Yeah, spend by channel, spend by quarter, all these things, spend versus budget trend. So what's important to me as an executive, I am giving my different business units their own budgets, they need to manage it. And what I need to be alerted on is when we're going over a budget. So we can see here, we're tracking nicely. This is our spend goal, and this is our actual spend. But what I need to now know is when it goes over or way too low, why aren't we spending enough? Or why are we overspending? on our ad campaigns. I've let the team run with it, be independent, but now I see that we 30% over budget over the last month. I don't always want to be looking at this. I'm an executive member. I cannot be looking at all of this data on a day-to-day basis. I can't get caught up on it. I only need to be notified when I need to intervene, speak to the team, see what's going on. Right. So from here, we set an alert. Now I want to be alerted, right? We've identified our threshold, wrong graph, skis. We've identified our threshold. We know that as soon as it goes over or way too low by a certain degree, I need to be notified. So I can go in here, activate a new alert, and set a rule. Modern data platforms should be able to do this for you now. Let the tools do the work for you. Let's not always look at our data. Let's not always analyze it on a day-to-day basis to try and pick up these strong adverse variants in our data. We can set different rules, say changes by 200% in ad spend. Let's get notified immediately when it hits our threshold, whether it's high or below, or either one or the other, however you want to set it. Nice thing is dynamic fields make it nice and easy for us to send out messaging for the team. And then how we can take action on the fourth point there is looking at manual intervention versus can we automate some of the stuff? Can we use machine learning to then identify key trends or do the work for us, even more so? So, the extra layer of automation, maybe when the sheep jumps over the fence, there's a springboard that knows to activate and just pops it back over. So what we can also do now is attach our workflows that we have created. If it hits this trigger, do this action, either automatically or tell my team exactly what workflow to follow or something like that. So also the ability to take one step further beyond just getting alerts, helping us be more proactive, more productive by automating where we can automate based on our key thresholds and when those alerts are triggered, or just notifying us. People don't use notifications enough is what we have found. Just notify us of these adverse changes in our data so we know to jump in when we need to. I don't want to spend all day in my data platforms. So I can send it, maybe scheduled reports. So if I can see that our our marketing agency has overspent over the last 2 months, send a report automatically saying, why is this happening? And let's proactively start a meeting with them. Or send a report to Exco or the team and saying, what is going on here? And just start that conversation automatically. Let the business and the tool kind of run as parts of the processes of the organization for you. Right. So that's the marketing example, from data collection to cleaning and setting up your data to a point where we can visualize from it, and then we can set those alerts and thresholds, identifying those key thresholds. It won't always show adverse effects, but things like risks that we know we cannot go over budget for certain items. Let's set an alert. Let's try it out. Let's just start somewhere where we are worried. So there's a peace of mind that if it does happen, that we are notified. Or commonly recurring events where we have to proactively intervene in more real time. Let's be notified in the moment when that data does whatever it does, so we can proactively intervene and maybe support a contact center agent, maybe support the marketing team before month end. But maybe we can see over the last week it's trending a certain way. Our threshold on our alerts has been triggered. And now we know, let's just start a conversation around this portion of it, what's going wrong, maybe even what's going right. Maybe give kudos. As soon as you see a sale comes through, alert a sales guy and say, well done on closing the deal. Fantastic. Yeah. So that's this. I don't know if anyone's looking for more specific examples to your role, maybe. But that's basically it, from connecting your data, cleaning it up, understanding your thresholds, and then setting those alerts or workflows using machine learning, whatever we have in our system, to try and be a bit smarter, be a bit more proactive in these scenarios. Yeah. So just some key takeaways is know your base, know how many sheep you have, and benchmark the thresholds, know where the pen is and know when they jump out. Have a game plan and test on a small group. We have our visualizations already. Most companies have it. We know our risks. We know our commonly recurring issues. And let's just set up some alerts, some real-time triggers to proactively intervene. And let's use technology smarter. The right tool will do the work for you. Let's not be so caught up in our data platforms. Let's just only jump in on certain scenarios when we need to intervene. Maybe we just can't wait for the 30-day report to finally come in, or that monthly report, and we could have intervened and done something halfway through the month to change course and better the outcome for the last period that we're measuring. Okay. Opening it up to any questions, should anyone have anything. One question. Hey, Alex, I head up the DevOps team at a large fiber provider in the country. The gap in our monitoring of our systems is around service health across the organization. Could Doma be a key tool to help with that? Brad, absolutely. So if we look at Doma, because one, it is connecting to your infrastructure. It is connecting to all your different systems, your different platforms. What Doma can do is we can see we have an IT section here. We have things like network monitoring. So we can check speed, latency, connect to your key systems, see what capacity your servers are at, look at cloud operations. So I know a lot of fiber providers are using things like AWS, looking at that cloud infrastructure. So rather than looking in your dev instances, pulling all that into one space, including the marketing, sales, IT, finance, but also helping IT operations look at the different infrastructure that you're managing. So cost by device, system latency, look at key trends per quarter, maybe things causing latency. So there's full monitoring and health in Doma of your systems, as well as what I'd like to show you here is also your data. So being able to see what data is being used, what isn't, where is orphan data, who owns what data. So also helping you manage that overall data governance and making sure that we are utilizing data or removing data and cleaning up a system on unutilized data and checking where most of it is sitting from our different platforms. So again, can also do exception management over here. If spend on AWS is going too high, maybe we reduce queries, something like that. Maybe there's latency, help the DevOps guys jump right in and unpack why there is system latency before maybe the whole fiber is crashing. So thanks, Brad.